Aston Villa have knocked Tottenham Hotspur out of the FA Cup after beating them by 2-1, and in this video we're going to be breaking down how they did it. We're going to be taking a look at both Aston Villa goals and having a look at the key area that allowed Aston Villa to dominate the tie. Aston Villa dominated this match, and if they had their shooting boots on, it could have been 3-4, possibly even more. And the key area that we really need to discuss is in the centre of midfield. The midfield balance for Tottenham just wasn't quite there, and as for Aston Villa, they started really strong. But it was the imbalance between both sides where Aston Villa started to gain the upper hand. When Tottenham wanted to try and prevent Aston Villa from building, they really tried to look to prevent the likes of Tielemans and McGinn from getting on the ball. This meant that Kulusevski and Bergvall, once he moved higher, were then trying to pressurise the two Aston Villa centre midfielders. This left Morgan Rogers at times alone with Rodrigo Bentancur, and this is where the main problem happened. Essentially, Villa were able to win their duels. If you're playing something of a man-mark style system, which Tottenham occasionally during this match attempted to complete and tried to prevent the balls going into the centre of the park, you need to make sure that you're able to win your duels, and frankly they just weren't. Villa were too strong. Tielemans able to get on the ball and pop it around, McGinn able to drive through, and the key duel here that we need to talk about is Bentancur and Rogers. Rogers was completely outmatching Bentancur for pace, for strength, for tactical awareness, for positioning. It was incredible. And even if Tottenham were able to match up Villa's midfielders, the move from Jacob Ramsey to move into the centre of the park and create the box that we know Aston Villa like to do, allowing Lucas Digne to be on that overlap, it just meant that Villa always had their 4 against Tottenham's 3, giving themselves a big numerical advantage and having that superior midfield presence, giving them the opportunity to either go left, either go right, and it gave Aston Villa so many different options and caused Tottenham so many different problems. It was through this really early on in the match that Aston Villa were able to get their first goal. Let's take a look at a couple of moments before we start to begin. You've got Morgan Rogers in acres of space, and that's because you've got the Tottenham players on this right hand side looking to try and condense the play. So you've got Kulusevski pressuring onto Tielemans, you've got Bergvall who's moving across to try and pressure, and you've also got Bentancur who is on the other side. He's over here. And this means that this triangle of players just are not central, which gives Morgan Rogers the license to be able to take all of the space that he wants. Once the pass is played from Tielemans into Morgan Rogers, Aston Villa are in business, and it allows him to start to turn. Once he turns, you've then got the pressuring of these Tottenham players, but he's frankly just too strong. Bergvall notices that something's wrong and tries to come and cover. Once this happens, Rogers has too much power, he has too much pace. Look at the amount of players that are here trying to stop him. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 tries to come across, and you've even got Bentancur trying to make this, but Rogers is too powerful, he's too much. His driving presence and power is way too much for this Tottenham Hotspur midfield. He is unstoppable at this point, and it allows him to drive through the heart of this Tottenham Hotspur midfield. Look at this. This is incredible. This is absolutely fantastic from Morgan Rogers. Look how many players he's taken out of the game, and at the same time, Tottenham is still trying to retreat. But keep your eye on Jacob Ramsey, who is on this left-hand side. Remember how we mentioned him coming infield, allowing Lucas Digne to make that run beyond. This is exactly what happens, and it's this pass that gets played through into Jacob Ramsey, which gives Aston Villa their major opportunity. He drives forward with the ball, and then it's about whether Ramsey can take it under control within a good space of time and make sure that he's able to get a shot on target. He absolutely does. He shoots towards Kinski, and this is where it gets really unfortunate for Tottenham, because Kinski obviously fumbles it and it goes into his own goal. But this was created by the power presence of Morgan Rogers and the imbalance between both Aston Villa and Tottenham. Aston Villa was simply just far too strong. The moment that goal went in, Tottenham needed to chase the game. They needed to commit themselves a little bit further, and that meant leaving space. It was this space that was then later exploited by Aston Villa's transitional play, which allowed them to get onto the back of Tottenham's back 4, bypassing their midfield on a number of occasions as if it wasn't there, because frankly it just wasn't. And this facilitated Ramsey to move infield, Digne to move across, and it essentially gave Aston Villa a line of attackers to be able to go forwards and attack attack this Tottenham back line. And what this did was it overloaded nearly every single Tottenham player, giving 2v1 situations on a number of occasions. And if you think about the movements and the ability to take space that these players have, Marlon making a run and beyond, Rodgers doing the same, Ramsey being able to pivot as well, it all gave Tottenham a little bit too much to handle. And that's not even taking into account the fact that Archie Gray isn't really a centre-back, Jed Spence is necessarily not a left-back, and then you've got the likes of Danzo who has just come into the side. It all seems a little bit uncertain, and with the attacking prowess that Aston Villa have, along with the creation and running power, it was only a matter of time before they were able to get themselves another goal. They should have done earlier on in the game, but they just were unable to take their chances because there were quite a few of them. Tielemans playing balls into Marlon, into Rodgers, allowing for them to turn, spin, use their power, use their pace in situations where we know they are very, very dangerous. And as I said, it wasn't too long before they managed to get another. We mentioned the idea of power and pace and bypassing Tottenham's midfield, and that's exactly how Aston Villa's second goal comes about from. Look at Youri Tielemans here. He's going to be bypassing this Tottenham midfield and playing a pass into Donyell Marlin, who's running in through towards the centre of the pitch. And as he plays this pass, you're spinning that Tottenham midfield. You're making them go towards their back line, something that they really don't want to do. Again, look at the space that Marlin has to drive at this Tottenham back line. It's just not right. Something is just not correct. You've also got Jacob Ramsey making a good forward-thinking run. You've got Bailey out on this other side, and Bailey is a player that we really need to be keeping our eye on. As Marlon drives towards the box, look at him shrugging off Basuma at this point. Look at him having the power to be able to drive through the heart of this Tottenham Hotspur defence. He decides to pass over to Leon Bailey once he manages to take control of the ball, and then it's about a really good piece of movement from that man himself, Donyell Marlin. Bailey holds the ball up really, really well, and that gives Marlin enough time to make a really good overlapping run. The Tottenham players need to pay attention to what's going on in front of them, which means that they're not necessarily too set once Marlin makes that overlap. He gets his overlap played through into him, and it gives him the ability to play the ball into the box. And it's this pass that starts to really break things down for Tottenham. Once he plays it into the pass, Pedro Porro, again, really unfortunate, but it's good play by Aston Villa, is unable to really clear the ball, and then you're leaving it to Morgan Rodgers, who is the quickest out of every player in the box, to smash it home to give Aston Villa their second goal. Again, they should have scored on a heap of other occasions if it wasn't for some worse off finishing, but here they managed to take their chance and they go 2-0 ahead. Aside from a couple of chances they really should have done a little bit better on, Tottenham did have this moment in the 91st minute as a consolation goal. Kulusevski out on this right hand side, and he's able to whip the ball in towards Matisse Tel, who makes a good run in beyond towards this back post. But I just want to talk about this moment to begin with. Tottenham made 15 crosses in this entire game, and Aston Villa played nearly 70 minutes without a recognised centre-back. Now, I know it's not your style of play, and Ange Postecoglou isn't a person who necessarily wants to change too much of his footballing philosophy, and I don't think anyone's asking him to, but sometimes you need to read the game state and understand the situation that's ahead of you. Even though they might not have players to cross to, surely overloading these players in terms of aerial ability might be something they look towards. And I think if they'd have seen this moment from Kulusevski probably 20 minutes earlier, they would have been whipping balls into the box left, right and centre. Alas, it wasn't to be for Tottenham, but this moment was really good from both Kulusevski and from Matisse Tel. Look at how he's positioning himself against Bogard towards the back post. He makes a good spinning movement once Kulusevski plays that pass, and it allows him to get on the end of it. Now, a quality move from Matisse Tel here is the goal and touch that he gets right here. He's able to just flick it with the outside of his boot, and this is one positive that I think Tottenham fans should be able to take from this, is that he's up and running and he's able to get on the score sheet. That's really important for him, and it will give him the confidence to then go forwards. But again, like I said, why they didn't try this another time or a different moment, I don't know. But Aston Villa were by far and away the more dominant side. They were by far and away the better side, and in the end the better side won, and Aston Villa make it to the 5th round of the FA Cup for the first time in a decade. Can you believe it? But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below on both Aston Villa and Tottenham. What did you make of both sides, and what did you think of the match? Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.